So, I just want to share some thoughts on this podcast, which I watched, How to Learn Skills Faster by Andrew Huberman, because there were a few takeaways I found quite interesting. First is that the 10,000 rule, 10,000, the 10,000 hour rule is not accurate. So, you know how experts say that you need 10,000 hours of like practicing to master a skill? Well, that's not really accurate. Huberman says it's about repetitions, not hours. And there's a difference. So when it comes to repetitions, it's not directly linked to time. So let's say I practice the guitar and I have one repetition. I can actually amplify the impact of that repetition if I do something called non-sleep deep rest after, which is basically when you just sit there, do nothing. It's slightly more complicated than that, so you can just search up NSDR from Huberman if you want to learn more about that. But just doing a practice like that amplifies the amount of repetitions that happen in your brain. So it's almost like your brain is like on like overdrive, relearning and replaying what you just learned and allowing you to learn faster. So that's one thing about skills. It's not necessarily just tied to time. It's also tied, well, it's mainly tied to repetitions. And then here are some other cool things that I found, which is that performing ultra slow movements are only useful after you attain some level of skill. So, for example, let's say I'm like playing basketball. Initially, I just want to shoot as fast as I can. Like when I do the entire shooting movement, I just want to be very fluid, very fast. But after I get to a decent like level, around 25% correct, which is what Huberman mentioned, then I can try and shoot in a very slow motion way and really like control my hand movements and really understand how my hand is moving through like space. And basically that just allows you to have like a deeper understanding of the skill that you're learning. But you don't want to do these first up. So next up, when he mentioned like you're going from intermediate to advanced skills, having like a metronome is quite useful just to basically set like a cadence to what you're practicing, and just having that external cue like hovering over your head just keeps you like in that state of plasticity and ability to like learn. And then the final thing is that visualizations are not a total replacement for physical training, but they're very powerful. Like, I know that there was this experiment done where there was three groups of people playing basketball. One group actually practiced free throws every day. The other group did nothing, and then the third group did visualizations. And as you expect, the group that practiced the most, practiced, did the best. The group that did nothing did the worst. But the group that visualized actually got pretty close to the group that actually practiced. And so, yes, it's not a total replacement. Visualizing like how you're going to practice, it does give you that extra like boost. And so, if you combine it with actual training, it's just going to like increase exponentially like how much learning you're going to get when it comes to a skill. So that's kind of like the lessons I've learned from this episode of Huberman's podcast.